up, my boy? Wow. We here. This is the first one.
First one. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
New Year. And my God, didn't we need a new year?
We need a new year.
I mean, what a year to have put behind us. And we seem to still be in the midst of it. But
I know. But it's gonna get better.
There's some light at the end of the tunnel, I think.
Yeah, light at the end of the tunnel. I like that. We got to use that. I like that. Fantastic, you know. And what is this t-shirt you're wearing, babe? What is this t-shirt?
So I'm representing today. This is a t-shirt I bought from back home when I was in Copenhagen. And it's for supportive of gay asylum. It is the LGBTQIA asylum cause. I think this is a thing that is often neglected. The story of a lot of people from this community that I'm also a member of are fleeing persecutions in countries where they're not allowed to be who they are. Right. And it's a really missed story that a lot of them are then ended up in refugee camps or for instance, in Europe, where they're then put together with the exact same people that they fled, who also fled because maybe a war and stuff like that. And there's like a misunderstanding of that, there might be war in Syria, but the cultural travels with them when they come up here. And a lot of them are really, this is not really taken much into account. And a lot of them are really living some very terrible times on top of all what they're enduring in these refugee camps. So I just want to.
That is so dope. Bring that. Yeah. That's something I haven't heard about at all. So we're gonna have to do an episode really on that, I think.
Yeah. That'll be very interesting. I mean, it's really, I think that people, I think we don't think about that. We think when people move, flee to Europe or whatever, they're all good, but unfortunately they're not. So yeah.
More thought. I think it's so dope to bring that to the table. We got some stuff we're talking about, and for those that are new here, we're gonna be coming with it every week. What the sis is in the house, y'all. Okay. Though. This is about diversity. This is about bringing diversity to the table, to the conversation.
Yeah.
Diverse
it's
chat.
Really like diversity and inclusion and bringing it out to the space. I want to say the first time I met you, I was like, I gotta know this girl. And you were so beautiful, so classy. You came with such an amazing energy.
Thank you.
Just quickly on why this kind of came up, because we just ended up having so many meaningful conversations because we're really coming from two different spaces of diversity. You're a strong Black woman, you're carrying your diversity on the outside. I'm a gay guy, look anything but diverse, but my diversity is on the inside. And, I think this is such a great opportunity for bringing those two aspects together. Because there's a lot of times when people think about diversity inclusion, often it stops maybe at gender, or it stops maybe at ethnicity or, sexual preference or whatever. There can be all sorts of different things, and I think that we have an opportunity to really bring those conversations together here.
I'm so excited for our first one. I'm so excited, you guys. Like when I met Lau, I thought, damn, he's fine. I went in the kitchen at LHH and I was like, who is that? Let me go on closer. And then as I was like, I was like, oh damn. I was like, damn, I can't even go there. But it made immediate connection.
Yeah.
Like you just, when you just feel like you're home, like at an organization that maybe there's not so much diversity. So when diversity is in the room, you're just like, yes, it's this feeling, it's this feeling, and I think a lot of our listeners especially as we align ourselves with certain organizations, which we'll talk about later. Well, I can say now with my G work, hope we are aligned with. A lot will be coming from there, and more younger,
Yeah.
that are facing, going into work or in their first and second roles. So I think we'll definitely be talking about what that looks like and how you're going into these spaces.
Absolutely. I think that that's important. I mean, this diversity talk is not just about talking being, accepted in the street and stuff. We really want to stretch it into also workspace. How do we really own diversity inclusion in workspace? It's so important for everyone because it gives people better opportunities and it enables them to perform better when they feel included and feel a sense of belonging to the workplace. So the very important part of the diversity and inclusion agenda is taking place at work, definitely.
And look, here we are 2021, and it has to be said that it was the brutal, horrific murder of George Floyd that it's just transformed the West. I want to say the West and beyond, but the West particularly in the corporate space. This is what I've never seen. Like, everyone is saying we got to change, voices coming together. It doesn't matter the race, ethnicity. It's just, and then as they call white people, like that dominant group, people from that dominant group are saying, to hell with this bullshit. We're not gonna be like part of this. We're not taking part of this bullshit anymore. And it's fantastic. And I got a daughter. I got a teenager, and that generation, I think Generation Z, they call it Generation Z. Generation Z, they're not playing. You're gonna accept us, and we're not gonna accept the bullshit. No, we're not accepting it anymore.
No.
And that's what's so dope. So I'm super excited about 2020.
It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing to see. I'm so encouraged by this younger generation that seems so engaged in fairness and equality and stuff. It's so encouraging to see. And I think it's so encouraging also because I think one thing, at least from, our communities, I think we have seen that a lot of these equality rights that we have fought and gained, and maybe I think in the early, like in the 2000s, we were kind of, it's all, a big cruise party kind of because we got some rights and hey, let's celebrate. Okay. And then I think all of a sudden we start experiencing, hey, we're getting actually resistance. There are things that are being rolled back when there's the wrong political party, in power. We saw that, I'm sorry, with the Trump administration. One of the first things that were rolled back was some of the protection rights for the trans community.
That's right.
And I think it's so encouraging to see the young people really standing up against this because it gives me hope that this is a continuous fight and we are not just going to lie on our laurels on this. So, yeah. But I want to ask you about this Deloitte case in the States, because I'm wondering, this is not the first police murder that we've seen. And unfortunately, we have seen a lot of them even happening after on Black people that are being targeted. Why do you think that the George Floyd one was so significant?
I think it was, what we've been seeing so much was gun violence, right?
Yeah.
And I think we've almost become desensitized to that violence. It's like, I'm here in the UK and you're in the UK too, but coming from Los Angeles. So it's like we've been so desensitized to gun violence.
Yeah.
The difference between George's murder and the many murders, Breonna Taylor, I mean, it goes on and on and on, right? Is that these were done with guns. Yeah. But this was different. George Floyd was different. It was done by crushing this man's neck, pushing it into the ground, taking his life while bystanders videoed something that took nearly 9 minutes to happen.
Yeah.
I think when you see something on such a horrific level, it brought it to reality.
Yeah.
That we got problems systemically with racism in America. It made people step up here in the UK and say, you know what, we got problems here too.
Yeah.
Right. And so with racism, so I think that was the difference.
Yeah.
It was like we got desensitized to the guns.
Yeah.
But we had never been desensitized for all out brutal murder. His murder was something like, say, my grandparents would have seen in Mississippi, in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
Or my mother, even, she was born in 47. So I think we didn't have, video. We didn't have the ability to be a bystander and immediately report it, right? Yeah. So the lynchings.
Sure. I mean, this has been happening. This is not the first time, at all. But maybe this is the time where it got videotaped.
But this was different. Again, remember it was being videotaped, but this was different. This, to me, I was going to say, was like the lynchings.
Yeah.
You know, in America, this was like a lynching, but he was taking his breath down on the ground, and they didn't give a damn. And that's when non-Blacks saw the reality of the racism that does exist. That does exist. Yeah. Now, I want to say, not every white person in America or every person of non-color in America is a racist. That would just be bull. That would just be dumb. Nor would I say that every state in America is just flooded with racism. I think that would be a lie. That would be exaggerating, right? Yeah. But we do have these people in the systems, and these behaviors been allowed to go on for so long that's when you get those outliers, like those murderers who did that to him, and those other police officers, those outliers, right? Those are outliers. I don't believe that that's everyone in the police force. No, that would just be, once again, we'd be stupid to believe that. But when the outliers are not punished and not removed, then you have the problems. Then you have the complicit behavior. Yeah, yeah. Right?
Do you think that maybe also sometimes I wonder if it was also, you know, in the tragedy of everything of both the George Floyd was like an almost 9-minute long video. There was so many opportunities to stop the course of what was going on. And bystanders were even trying to chime in and stop this, and still it went on. It's 9 minutes is a long time.
I put my phone on. It took me a minute. I didn't watch it right away because I knew it was going to be horrific and painful, but I needed to see it at the same time. Yeah. So I watched in a flood of tears. But what I did was, after that, I just put my phone on for 8 minutes and I think 36 seconds, was it? Mm-hmm. And I played that, and I thought, allowed my timer to go. And I was just horrified even more at how much time. And the bystanders, the reason they didn't run and help is because the police had guns. Yeah. And they would have been victimized and killed. Yeah.
I mean, this is a whole, that's a whole podcast series in itself, talking about police and guns in the States. Seeing what was happening and seeing how many people get shot accidentally by police. You understand, there's a limit to how much interference you would do, unfortunately, in order for them. But they had the opportunity. There's no chance that they didn't have the opportunity to change the course of what is happening there. I know nobody, or I assume nobody, would really want to hurt, but there are things you need to stop and think sometimes, and that's it's so disheartening to see what was happening there. And I wonder sometimes if this really, I'm just trying to find little nuggets of positive things for 2020. And I'm thinking about, maybe the fact that everything was so locked down at the time, and then this happened. Nobody, or very few, were busy getting on with their day. Everybody had time to really watch those almost 9 minutes. And I think that also really created, people were not busy going off to work, going about their own things. So the fact that this was such a horrendous video that took so long, like you say, it wasn't just a accidental shooting or anything, but it was really, it was a long and painful murder of George Floyd. And then at the same time, you had an audience that had time to watch the whole thing. And I think if anything, I hope
That's right.
if anything good came out, I hope that of that bloody pandemic, I would hope that maybe this contributed to the rise of this whole thing, this whole agenda of Black Lives Matter, of equality and diversity, and everything that came along with that.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Lau. It's like you couldn't have asked for a better moment. Not the death, but the time of COVID, like you said, being home. You couldn't have, you couldn't have made that better.
No.
And then it just ushered in transformation.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about. Let me tell you what I saw on TV this morning. So I got a beautiful little story, one of the beautiful stories of a young woman. Her name is Suzanna. I think her last name is Hext. I need to confirm that. You can look that up on your phone if you want to. Her name is Suzanna. Mm-hmm. And she was a dressage competitor, right? They ride the horses and they do all the beautiful jumps and all that other pretty stuff, right? I'm not a horsewoman, never been a horsewoman. They're nice, they're big beasts, but this is what is dope. So in 2012, she suffered a spinal injury. She was out doing working with this pony, this little pony, whatever, and she's doing her thing, and she gets thrown off, and the poor pony, I think he drops down on her, rolls one way, and then she said he rolled another way, and so she left her with damage to her pelvis. She was just jacked up. It was like a miracle that she did not die. So here we are 8 years later. So that was 2012. She was going to be competing in the Olympics. I believe that's what she said in 2012. So poor thing, dreams gone, right? But no. Queen. Okay, Queen. We got to give the Queen a little bit of up. Paralympic. She's an athlete. She's a competitor. And I don't know what happened, what hit her in her mind, other than she was not going to give up her dreams. So here we are. She is now a Paralympic swimmer. She's going to Japan this year to compete in the Paralympics. Yeah. Not only that, but she is a Paralympic dressage competitor as well. Wow. And we got to give it up. Woo, woo, yeah. Woo, woo, right?
Hands up for Santa.
I'm like, go Queen. And the beautiful thing was that she's able to swim, and I think another top swimmer, his swimming pool, she's training with him in the para swimming competition. They show video of her. She's out there training on her, using her wheelchair, because her legs are the issue. They're not obviously working. So, but there she's doing pull-ups, and I'm like, Queen, looking beautiful. Her brother, I think she said, had readjusted the rowing machine, right? So she could row, at home. Her parents turned the living room into a fitness suite over this COVID. She's doing the most. And I think it is so beautiful to see something like that. And such a beautiful story, because some people will give up, and hey, we've not walked in a person's shoes, right? So we can't really judge. But to see, here is our person in the disabled category of disability, disability category, the group that is quite often kind of just not talked about, put to the side when we talk about diversity and inclusion and belonging. Yeah. So when I saw that this morning, I was like, I got to tell Lau about that, and I want our people to hear. So that's Suzanna Suzanna Hext.
Amazing. I mean, what a power study in resilience and persistence, right? I mean,
Yes.
wow,
She
amazing.
looked great. She
Yeah,
looked great. It made me say, KK, girl, you need to get your back out there and work out, because if she can carry on through all of that, and she would have gone through lots of pain and
yeah,
everything like that, she still said, I'm an athlete, I'm gonna still find a way. And it's like, no excuse, get your butt up early, KK, and get out there and work out. So
yeah.
I thought that was really, really dope.
Very,
And what a great thing. I love a happy story, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, we need those these days.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. I know you told me you found some stuff out. What you
I
gonna
I
do?
well, there was just one thing I love to discuss, and this is also, I think it's a good kind of introduction also to this podcast series, because I want to talk about the level of conversations and the purpose of this whole, podcast of us, that we're coming in here with curiosity, and we're really bringing. I love that. I hope that we can inspire people in the conversation of diversity, and we, because of our kind of external and internal diversity, can bring people together and create a bigger understanding across these, because there are differences even within our diversities.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say that I loved about when the whole Black Lives Matters came up was this notion of saying, if you believe in equal rights, you got to believe in equal rights all the way. There is not, you cannot say no equal rights just for me. That's not how it goes.
Right,
If we
right.
believe in equal rights, we believe in equal rights for everyone.
Everybody. This is
Everybody got to
this
get
is
on
the
board.
new.
And I always found it so funny, the people resisting equal rights. I mean,
Mm,
this is a weird concept. How would you, there's no greater pleasure really than to make someone else happy. you
yeah,
know
yeah.
that is, we all know the pleasure of making someone else's happy. So why is it that someone would oppose other people to get equal rights? We are not taking anything away from anyone.
We just
We're just
right.
we're just asking for the same, and we would even be appreciative of it. We would even feel for a moment of joy and happiness of having gained that. You know,
What's
even for
wrong?
something, we're not getting more than anyone else. It
Right.
is such a funny concept with these people that are working against equality.
Mm, mm.
People against gay and lesbian rights. We're not telling you to marry anyone gay or anyone lesbian. We're just telling you to give me that opportunity and let me be with that. So it's just a funny thing. And in that kind of conversation, I want to share that how the conversation also has changed so much.
Mm.
Because a few years back, when I was living back in Copenhagen, I went to um, a workshop with an amazing friend of mine who's called Lucy Vitrup, and she's really like, she's my sexual educator in many ways. She taught me so much about.
Sexual educator?
Yeah, no, but
This
not in the physical way. She'll go a long way, but not that far. No, I wouldn't.
okay, okay.
But she taught me about breaking taboos about sexuality, having open conversation about sexuality, and daring really
Okay.
to be transparent. So she works a lot in that space, and she was having a talk about this group of people that were breaking with norms, so they were kind of, directly translated, kind of the norm breakers. And
Mm.
it was a small group of people that were going around having talks about what it felt like to be the odd one out, or what it felt like to be different, uh, androgynous. What do you call it? Androgynous?
Androgynous?
Androgynous, for instance, or belong. It was very much in the gender space.
Okay.
But the interesting part of that conversation was that there was a lot. There was. I felt that the the purpose of that was to teach those who felt like odd ones out or part of minorities or anything of a diverse, what we would create these diversity groups, so that I don't know, they all form together and create a diversity, but you know, all these minority groups, that they were, you know, kind of teaching a way to say, okay, this is who I am, and if people come and they talk to you, you know, you can find a way or tools to say, stop, I don't want to talk about that, because I don't want to bring that into the conversation, because I don't feel it's relevant for the conversation. And I have full respect for that. I have full respect for that. You don't always, sometimes you get tired of being the advocate. But I think that that was also at the time, that was very much what it was. We wanted to shield our minorities and communities and give kind of a free space within that community to say, this is the little circle where here you can be yourself and be free. But when you go to the edges, you might need to put up your armor and say, stop, I don't want to go that far. I don't want to invite you into that conversation.
Okay.
And it was really interesting to me. And I don't know, I think my friend Lucy kind of felt I probably derailed it a little bit, because I was like, but hey, wait a minute. If I'm feeling good about who I am, because that is where we want to get to.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have any problem with people talking to me about my gayness or my, you know, or anything like that.
Yeah.
There should be no problem for me talking about it if I'm authentically feeling good about who I am.
Yes.
Then when we do that, we also generate power and energy to share and educate and move people's mind.
There you go.
Often, right?
There
It's
you
often
go.
when we are under pressure and we are not comfortable in our skin, in our own space, that we don't have the energy and the, what can you say, human capital to make a change in other people's mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think today that conversation has changed so much. Today it's not about saying, I want to create a space where I can be myself, meaning a space where you are not invited in because you are pushing on my buttons or feeling insecure about who I am. But now that conversation is much more about, I want to be who I am and I want you to understand it.
Yeah.
And I think,
and if you don't understand it, that's okay too. But I'm gonna be me.
But I'm gonna be
me, and I'm not gonna shield myself.
No.
And for those in any community, you know, any diverse community that feels that they just want to be themselves, that you know, be yourself and expect acceptance. And those who, like I say, those who don't accept it, inevitably they will fall by the wayside. I really believe that. I think
that we have to build a confidence in ourselves that allows us to say, because there's when we are feeling uncomfortable and when we want to remove ourselves from people who don't understand and move into this little circle where we can be ourselves, there's an element of shame in that.
Yes. Oh my God. Shame.
Shame is, God, I mean, we need to have a whole session on shame. It's such a big thing for me that it's so important for me that people are not ashamed of who they are.
Oh my
and
God.
We need to get to a level of confidence where we are also willing, because when we're leaving shame completely, I have the room to meet somebody who don't understand me, and I'm going to be conscious about saying, I know you don't understand, but I'm going to make you understand. And yes, we might meet somebody who just don't want to understand. And you know what? Then that's fine. We're going to leave those.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. You go in your little circle, but I'm around. I'm not going in there. So I think that that's just such an interesting way how the conversation has moved from minorities wanting to protect ourselves a lot more to now we want to break that.
Open. We will, you know, oh my, I can't wait for the coming weeks as we're coming with more and more. We're going to hone into these certain deeper conversations that need a whole episode, because we've been talking about that too. So we need an episode, and I will bring up the hair thing, and then I know we're going to do an episode on that too. It's even for me recently, having cut my hair. It was just about 9 inches long. It was a loose afro. We did put some chemical in it and we messed it all up. So it had to go. But it was, you know, and my past incarnation of being a professional singer and everything, I always wore my hair in an afro, except the last few years, started wearing the wigs and enjoying that. But in the corporate space, right? It's we even find ourselves as Black women feeling that we can only be accepted if we look like our white counterparts on a certain level. Now I know I'm gonna get some pushback for this. I know it. I know sisters is gonna say, no, KK, I love wearing my hair. Don't start talking about weaves and wigs and this and that and the other. But follow me.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm saying though is, I know, and I can see the difference of us. I know a young woman working at an organization, and she would wear this horrendous wig. It was not cute. But I knew it was because she felt, especially as a young person going into an organization, her first job, she had to appear a certain way.
Yeah.
Now, to know this young woman, she's not that Instagram girl with the long to she actually wore a really short one. You could see it was like that wasn't her thing.
No.
It wasn't her thing to wear a wig, but she wanted to fit in. And every time she'd see me, I just love your natural hair. And I was like, girl, wear your hair. She was, I don't know. And that's sad.
Yeah.
That is right there in your mind, in society, in the corporate space. Somehow you believe bringing your whole self is not going to be appreciated.
Yeah.
Not going to be appreciated. And one of my mentors, Grant Dorset, we had a Skype call, we had a Zoom call. This is last year. I says, I love my natural hair. And he was like, yeah, you must wear your natural hair like that. And I was wearing my natural hair, but I loosened it up with a little blow dry or something. And now that I cut it to, the big chop, as we call it, he's loving it. It's like, it's bring your authentic self. I don't want to be you, right? I don't want to be the girl with the long straight hair, the white woman or the European woman with the long straight hair. I can never be that. I can never be that. But I am still a beautiful brown woman, that's intelligent.
I mean, 100%. And let me just break a little thing for you, because I don't know why this, thing with, we could talk a long time about why it is that has been the goal, long straight hair. But I can just tell you that when I was a kid, all I wanted was a black afro. And so it goes both ways.
Did you tell me did you perm your hair?
I asked my mother one time if I could go and get a perm and a black dye in my hair.
And the black dye, you wanted that afro.
I mean, this was before that all got wrong. I also had a wig and everything. I was like, that was my favorite. It goes both ways,
Right,
it's so, and thankfully it has to.
And it's about appreciating. I think it's about appreciating who you are, what we have, whatever. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, if I feel like wearing a cute little wig, I will put one on. But I'm not going to feel that I have to show up like that every day.
No.
Because it makes other people feel comfortable. I was speaking to someone the other day, a very good friend in management, in insurance, one of the big insurance company in the city of London. And he told me a story just the other day, how a young black woman had just come on into the business, and her line manager, and he heard him say it, the line manager said to this black young woman, oh, your hair, she was wearing it natural, your hair is attention seeking. Can you do something to it or to straighten it out? And he pulled up that manager and says, you can't say that. That is her hair. That is how she was born. You can't tell her it's offensive. it's attention seeking or attention. It was, and I said, oh my God, are you really serious? And this has been in the last few years. This isn't
Yeah.
like the 70s or the 80s
No.
or something. This is in the 2000s, in the second decade. Now we're moving into the third decade. It's like, how could this be? Because there's that mindset, there's that real messed up thinking.
Yeah.
That it's like, we want you to present, so it's not attention seeking. How the hell is hair? Look at my hair. I mean, this is my hair. It's a style as well, because it naturally grows like this. But I comb out the Afro curls, so because that's, because I like to be clean. But you know what I'm saying? How is it that my hair is offensive? It's what it is. It's a mind. It's your mindset. It's your antiquated thinking. It's your racism. It's the systemic racism that is in organizations, and that is so sad.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It must be such an upsetting thing, and there's a lot to talk. We talked a lot about this. There was a lot I had to learn in this that I didn't know about.
Asking stupid questions, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And this is really what this is about, and I really appreciated you telling me more about the story about the wig, because I never understood why Black people wore wigs. And I assumed that it was just because it was easier or anything. I never, and it may be that because, let's be real, I'm coming from Copenhagen. There are not that many Black people that you get in contact with, unfortunately, but we have lots of other ethnicities, but just not a very, it's of course growing, but it's not, we don't have a big Black community like we have here in London. So it's being exposed a lot more to it, and therefore never really knew the story about the wigs and why. And I, like you talk about this girl, who's wearing a wig, and it was a crooked, and it just really wasn't really, doing anything good for her. And why is that becomes better than wearing your own hair? I think that's so disheartening. And I mean, we all need to look nice at work in some parts. I can rock up with greasy long hair either, but never anything about it because it's being like as a Black. I never understood what you can't say that a girl, a white girl can come in with a long braided hair or whatever, and then all of a sudden a black girl can't come in with braids. That doesn't fly. Either you can wear braids or not braids.
Twisted. It's twisted. It's a twisted, sick racism. It's conscious bias, right? It's that conscious bias. It makes you uncomfortable, so everybody got to change to make you feel comfortable. Now, when it comes to rights for people, diversity, you know what, you're gonna have to change. But you gonna start telling people to change their hair, go put on a wig, go put on hair extensions, damage your natural hair, make you feel less than in order for you to work at that organization.
Yeah.
And what does the young girl do? I didn't get the end of the story. What does she do? Does she then go out and relax the hair? And then damage her natural hair? Does she then go out in the braids and pulling and there we know in the Black hair industry, you get what we call traction alopecia, because you're pulling it so much, it's like threading your eyebrows. You pull, and that hair gets pulled out. Your scalp is ruined. You can't grow your natural hair anymore. What does that person do in order to keep their job? And we need to definitely kind of delve into that. Something you brought up, I'm gonna change it for a second. There's something else I saw in the news today.
All right.
Okay. And what was fantastic, I like my little good stories, right? When we're talking about diversity and inclusion. Now, for years and years, forever and a day, since we've had the ability to go to the pharmacy or to the chemist, women, we can go and see for ourselves. We get a little pregnancy home kit, and we take it, we pee on that stick, we wait however many seconds, and we can see and whether we're pregnant or not. It's a beautiful thing, right? It
Yeah.
depends on the situation, right? But it could be a good thing, right? Well, what group has been like just pushed to the wayside is blind women. Blind women can't go to the chemist pharmacy. And I didn't even think about this. Now here we are, 2021. Again, it just shows you how people of diverse groups are just not even thought about.
No.
Right? Until 2021, 2020, whatever. This morning, there is a prototype of a home pregnancy kit designed for blind women. It could be men too, in terms of he may be being blind. He's bringing that home to his partner.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's a prototype which gives more, instead of just the visual reading, which is electronic and the stripy things. Imagine you can't see. So imagine, before I tell you about the prototype, imagine that. Like, let's think about that. You're blind, you got a partner, you guys are planning a pregnancy, say he's blind as well. You can't, in your privacy of your own home, see the news. You can't find out because you're blind. So what do you got to do? You either got to bring a friend to you to the bathroom with you. So here's a third party involved. Maybe this is your private moment you want to have. You can marry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't have that private moment. You got to bring a third person in. Like really, or you got to go to the GP. Like really, you know, we've been able to do that in the privacy of our own home. I don't know how many years, maybe 30 years or something like that. But now with this prototype, blind women and their partners, they are going to be able to through more of a tactile experience. This has been approved or given the thumbs up from the Royal National Institute of Blind People. I think it's such a win. I'm like, oh, because you know I'm about everybody. We about everybody. So now to know that our blind sisters are going to be able to, hopefully, I hope this year, I don't know, were they saying that because it's a prototype and maybe they need some more funding? I don't know, but whatever the case may be, there is the light at the end of the tunnel, or the tactile light at the end of the tunnel, and they will be able to see whether or not they're pregnant for the damn selves and not a third party involved.
Wow,
so let's give it a
great step for the blind community. And for all of those who didn't know about it, all they got to do now is listen to this podcast.
There you go. You go. Spread the word. Right? Yeah. So good.
That's good news. I say also on this, it'll be so interesting to, you know, if people hear this or see this, you know, that, you know, tell us your unconscious bias that, you know, that, you know, let's bring it out. You know, if you have anything that you're thinking about, this is such a great example of something that we, even us also belonging to each of our own little minority, are blind also. We're not free of unconscious bias, you know, because I never thought about that. But that's such a good point, you know. So if you know something that we don't know, we want to know. So bring it on.
What's our email? Give the email so they can reach out to us.
It's whatthisis@gmail.com. So just start writing.
You're gonna spell that for me.
Sorry.
What we talked about? What the sis? Spell sis.
What the sis @gmail.com.
And it's CIS, isn't it?
It's CIS. Yes.
Yes. Fantastic. Because we need you guys to get in touch. We need you guys to just bring some stuff, because this is what we were talking about. There's no stupid questions. We
want to start the conversation, so come along and engage with us.
That is fantastic. Awesome. I'm so excited. Well, I'm happy to say one of the cats has not walked across the screen in my house. So this is a good thing. What else you bring to the table?
Well, I just want to actually just circle back a little bit to this story you told about this colleague and this is an interesting part, I think, when we're talking workspace, because I just read this diversity inclusion report, and it's interesting. There's there's a sense of diversity that is opening up and really growing, that there's a sense of that companies are opening up to diversity.
Yeah.
But inclusion is lacking. Inclusion is following behind. And I think in a way, this really hits the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this girl, she's been employed by this employer. She feels that, you know, diversity matters to the company. She's been hired, and I think I know what company you're talking about, and I know that it is a quite diverse company. At least there are people from everywhere. But inclusion, if she feels she has to wear that, not because she wants to, not because she wants to have a sassy day with long wavy hair, then go for it.
Yeah.
But if she's wearing it because she's ashamed, that is exactly, yeah.
That's not inclusion, you know?
That's not inclusion. And this is, I think, one of the things that a lot of companies are struggling with understanding. They're struggling to understand, how do we truly create an inclusive workspace? And on that, I think things are moving, you know, things are really moving. I think, you know, just, you know, a year and a half back, I used to teach these workshops on career management and social media and LinkedIn and you know, and we would talk about, you know, how you all need to go out and get that professional headshot, and you know, and I would, you know, that would be the norm already. But I feel that that has just changed upside down the last year. Right now, I mean, if you see another suited up guy on your LinkedIn profile, it looks like anyone else. And in a way, you know, I've been reflecting because I've been writing some material on diversity and inclusion, and when you think about the business suit, what is the business suit? And really, it is a uniformity adhering to a uniformity that takes away your personality in a way. That's the purpose of that in a way. You are coming in to be the man or the woman or the whatever you want to be of that company, and you're going to wear this uniform, so you kind of erase your vignettes of your personality, right? And that, I think, is changing now. You're seeing people changing their pictures on their profile into something more personal. You, such a colorful picture. Mine, don't look at mine right now. It's still very dull. I'm working on it. But
we're working on that.
Well, that's just because I'm a tough update. But then it's and I think that's so great to see, because that is going to help drive inclusion as well. This is exactly what inclusion is about. Diversity, yes, that is about inviting people in, but inclusion is to make them feel that they belong, and they make them feel that they are able to bring their personality into the room and into the workplace. And if this girl that you mentioned, if that company had created a proper inclusive atmosphere where we celebrate the diversity rather than trying to conform it into the company brand, which means basically all employees take away your personality, because our brand is going to be something that is predefined by a strategist first, and that means no room for personality. So, but now I think that this is what companies have to dare to let go of that control, and saying, by we creating this diverse group of people, in that is going to blossom a culture that is going to build our brand in a way that's going to be so stronger. Right. We know, and I know, I read this in this report, that your profitability.
What is that? What is this?
I read it's a diversity and inclusion report from the McKinsey & Company. It calls Diversity Wins.
That's in May 2021, right? Is that in May 2021 or 18? Okay.
No, it's May 2021. So it's the latest one, and it's I really recommend. It's very easy. Go in, just Google it if you want to read it. Lots of good
I break it down in my book. Yeah, I break it down in my book.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I took over.
Lots of good
you.
things.
Sorry.
And I have some other reports that I'll bring into the other conversation, but it's just interesting, you know, if you don't understand the pure humane part of it, well, then let's break it down in cool cash. You are much more likely as a company to be profitable if you have a proper diversity inclusion agenda and you're really truly living it. It is in that data here that they have done, and I've read even the methodology that they've had behind it. It is a very strong evidence base that they have. So, and I think it's 39% or something. I can't find it right now, the exact number, but I'm gonna find that. And I mean, it is significant. Sorry?
We can put a link in our YouTube and our show notes when we start building all this up, because that is so important. 100%. And exactly, if you can't do it for the humanity's sake, let's look at the business case for it. And the data doesn't lie. Exactly. The data doesn't lie. No, you brought up a good point. And you talked about inclusion, you talked about belonging, and you're saying that you're kind of starting to see more of that kind of focus. I think probably what's going to take, it's going to just take more of the big players becoming examples. You know what I mean? I was, you know, just for those who don't know, I've written a book called Rethinking Diversity Management. It's coming out this year, which is super excited about in the next couple of months or so. We're just putting the finishing touches on it, layout and all that other stuff. Yes. And I do break down the 3 reports of the McKinsey reports for the business case and everything for diversity. But anyways, you know, one of the things I was thinking about, it's like, yeah, you know, you got this diversity policy, you're going to be hiring more people and everything like that, you know, and that is a good thing. But the idea, okay, what do you do with those people when you're in there? You know, how do you make them feel included and that they have a place at the table? You know, I think people are finding that challenging. You know, because it's something that, like you say, it's only now that the inclusion part is really showing, being part of this agenda, because it's not enough to just have people of diverse backgrounds working for the company if they don't stay working for the company. They don't stay and they don't get to these senior positions, or you don't hire into senior positions, right? Exactly. So like, is that really a diverse organization, or is that just a quota fill? You know, or you just filling the quota? And so companies, I think one of the things they're trying to do is, I know, you know, we're both coaches with Ezra, we're both coaches with Ezra, which is great. We even have a program, Diversity D&I program, that organizations, when they're putting together their coaching packages, that's an area that they can have their coachees, their employees who are getting the coaching, go through a D&I program, because it really, I think, it's about that diversity of thought. And when you have one-on-one, your coach and everything, and it's like, okay, we're going to be looking at diversity and inclusion, then your coach is saying, okay, tell me how you feel about that. You start those conversations, and you help change the thinking, or help should I say, bring a highlight that person's thinking, and then you work in that. So I think that coaching element is super important when it comes to diversity, inclusion, belonging, and helping your organization change the mindset. Because we go back to that insurance company who's got this young woman coming in there, that person, their mindset needs to be shifted, right? So unfortunately, you do have stupid people. Stupid people do stupid things, say stupid things, right? So unfortunately, this stupid individual thinks it's okay because maybe the leader above him, he heard that leader do something similar or whatever, right? And he's never been held to account for his stupidity, right? But we also got to look at, there's a teaching opportunity here.
Exactly. Right? Back to what we talked about earlier. We need to be advocates as well.
You know, it's like, you know, change is hard for people. Change, it's so easy to keep doing what you do. It is so easy. I mean, I, you know, in a day, I'd rather do everything that I know how to do and just like forget the other stuff, because it's like heavy lifting, isn't it? It's like it's a heavy lift to change your mindset, to question where you picked up this mindset. And I always talk about that unconscious bias piece is being very crucial in any kind of change initiative of an organization. Right. And it's like, if we can take this teachable moment, the new of the organization, then we'll see how that business piece is allowed to flourish with the innovation and everything. But if we don't, if we don't take these moments to teach, then we just have the ignorance that just keeps going and going and going. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes you got to cut certain types of people off if they refuse to change. I believe in that too.
100%.
Cut them off, get them out the business.
No, exactly. And I think this is, you know, back to what I also mentioned before on this, that we have an opportunity. We need to be proud of who we are and leave the shame around and break that little circle and go out and take it as an opportunity to be the change we want to see, right? And that is also by allowing people who don't know better, who don't know, if they have the right intention, then we have an opportunity to change their mind. And we need to be strong and proud of who we are to go out and do that. So yeah, great. It's a really, really good point.
It was nice that this friend of mine, he's in management, who witnessed this telling. I don't know exactly, you can give me all the details, but I witnessed this and then pulled this other manager up and said, hey, he used that as a teachable moment.
Yeah.
Right. Which is wonderful. He was just like, you can't do that. You can't say that. And probably said, you can get us sued.
Yeah.
She could turn around for discrimination and sue them for discrimination.
Yeah.
Right. And have a case against this organization. You know, so it's, I think what you made, one word came to my head was compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion, for they know not what they do. Now, I'm not an overly religious woman or anything like that, but I love the stories of my Christian upbringing and everything. And I love it. There's that saying, and I say it sometimes to my clients, I think it's when Jesus is on the cross. Jesus is on the cross, I can imagine he looks up and he says to God, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Yeah.
I love that, because sometimes people stupid because they've been stupid for so long and they really don't know. They've been so stuck in this systemic crap, the systemic way of it being, or the generations of it, that they don't even know. And those people, they're worth teaching.
Yeah.
They're worth teaching.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm hoping that particular man, when he pulled him up on that, learn like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, you trying to tell somebody to be something they're not because it makes you comfortable. I'm really hoping that he walked away. Yeah.
There's a good little poem on that. I can't find, I'll find the exact thing, but it goes something like, darkness cannot remove darkness, only light can do that. As well as only love and kindness can remove hate. You are not removing hate by hating yourself. You know, we need to, the killing with kindness has as a way, exactly, because they know not what they do. We are not born to hate. We're not born to be prejudiced. We are taught that in our societal constructs, and that is you know, but we can unlearn these things again. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. You know, I think we should end it. I think we should end it. What you think?
This was such a good conversation. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well. I really want to encourage people to write in your stories. If you have stories, we love to, you know, bring them up, have a chat about it. We want to bring this as a positive light, but we want to also be able to talk about those things that are not so comfortable. And we want to hear that what your experience has been when you have been in work situation or family or friends, society situations where you have experienced some kind of uncomfortable situation because of a lack of diversity inclusion. We would love to hear that and make that part of our discussion.
We're going to bring some guests in on here. I definitely want to, and I know you do too, bring some other thought leaders from the LGBTQ community, from the BAME community, you know, the disabled community. We want to bring people in with their experience and share their stories. So I'm looking forward to where we're taking this, and I hope you guys have too. You're going to see this on YouTube as well. Come to our YouTube channel and please subscribe. We want to build this, and then also please keep coming back to this and on this podcast. Well, we're gonna be bringing it to you, baby. Bringing that diverse chat every week.